You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. Legislation that would have extended the Census Bureau's national head count, folks, has failed in Congress. Of course, Democrats have been making the argument that needs to actually happen in order to properly count the U.S. Census. Yet Republicans have been fighting them furiously when it comes to the United States Census. Joining us right now is Congresswoman Barbara Lee of California. Congresswoman, how you doing?
Good, Roland. Nice to be with you.
Always
everybody's healthy and your family.
Oh, everybody's good. Everybody's good. So we're just staying away from everybody else. Tell them all the time, look, learn to wash your hands, put a mask on, and social distance. And so it's all good. Let's get right to this census deal. That's part of the issue in terms of where we are now. We are behind. Of course, a lot of Democrats want it to extend it. Republicans are not trying to participate. And of course, many people are concerned that this is going to result in a massive undercounting of people of color, which means that's billions of dollars we don't get.
Yes, Roland, and that's who they are, the Republicans. And so I hope people remember this in November. But also, Donald Trump has moved the deadline up by 1 month to September 30th. And let me tell you, in 2010, we had 47 million to count. Now we've got 60 million left to count. And it's outrageous because given COVID-19 and given all of the challenges we have, compressing this time to count unsheltered people, residents of nursing homes and dormitories, it's outrageous. But also, Roland, in addition to the huge amounts of money and funding for our communities, the political lines are driven based on the census count. So you have two things going against us if, in fact, these deadlines are changed and that our people aren't counted. One, we don't get the resources, and two, our voices are not heard in the political bodies of this country. And so we have to fight hard to make sure that if we can't turn this around, that we do the census in a way that we meet those deadlines and that we're counted.
One of the other issues is also outreach. How do you reach those communities? Yesterday, we had Congressman Stephen Horsford on, who said that when he met with the Census Bureau and the ad agency and signed the national contract, Young and Rubicam, also known as Y&R, they made clear they were not buying any newspapers under 50,000. That means virtually every black newspaper in America. We submitted a proposal in May, never heard from them. Other black media, the same as well. And so I was told that black media was supposed to get around $100 million in terms of outreach, and black media, they've gotten pennies. So part of the issue also with the undercount is that not only because of COVID, you couldn't knock on doors, you couldn't have massive events. If you're also not doing anything with black media to drive the message, that our people are not hearing it every single day with the drumbeat.
You're absolutely correct, and I know this because we've had many meetings and oversight hearings with regard to the census. And what happens is these companies, they get the resources that we appropriate. I serve as an appropriator on the Appropriations Committee. They make all these promises, then they do these contracts, and then they back out of the promises that they made. And so this is just, hopefully we'll have some hearings and we'll begin to unpack how all of this happened on the census. But in the meantime, we've got to make sure that we get as much as we can out of them. And it's obscene that they don't invest in ads in black media and that they lie about who they're going to work with and then get the money still. I mean, I wish there were a way we could hold up these contracts until they do the right thing.
So you have the month of...
It's just another example of this white supremacist agenda that's being run out of the Trump White House.
You got August and you have September. So you got less than 60 days to get the messaging out. What is the Census Bureau saying as to how they're going to achieve that?
Well, they're not saying much. I think they, in many ways, some in the Census Bureau don't really mind because they're Trumpites. Others, are really concerned. And so they're scrambling now trying to figure this out. But I can tell you, like in California, for example, we have a 60% return rate, but in the Black and Latinx community, it's way, way down. And so we have to do a lot of outreach, and we have to hire people from our communities now to really do the outreach that's necessary and try to get more money for the ads. You know, a lot of, especially African-American seniors, they may not be online, for example, or have broadband access or internet access. And so that takes the extra step of going within a COVID protocol to find out, you know, how to help them and tell them how they can do it by mail or by telephone. So this is a heavy lift that has to happen. And we knew this going into it, but then the Trump administration just pulls the rug out of everything to try to make sure that Black and brown people and seniors and the unsheltered population and young people aren't counted, and low-income people. It's outrageous. This is another example why we have to vote in November.
All right, Congresswoman Barbara Lee of California, we certainly appreciate it. As I said to Congressman Horsford, I certainly hope that the CBC demands an audit of Young and Rubicam to know exactly where every dollar went, what Black media outlets, what Black-owned media outlets, and there's a full accounting of what happened. Because I talked to somebody who's been working with the census for a very long time, and I was told this exact same thing happened in 2000. Same thing happened in 2010, and now in 2020, how they made it hell on Black PR and ad agencies.
Yeah, Roland, just know that I'm going to ask for an audit because we appropriated that money. But I wish we could do something beforehand.
Right. And in fact, in one of those,
been working on also.
In one of those top Black ad agencies, Carol H. Williams, right there in Oakland, one of your constituents, and that Y&R has frozen them out of this process. They were supposed to be the multicultural agency, and they have been giving them the runaround as well. And that's one of the reasons why Black media and Black ad agencies and Black business overall can't grow, is when we're frozen out of the dollars.
Again, another example of systemic racism.
Yep.
In case anybody doesn't understand that, I just want to put that out there. It's truth-telling time. This is a manifestation of what we've been talking about and what the movement has been about since for 401 years.
Yep, that's why I'm wearing a shirt today. Where is our money? I got this from the folks when I spoke in Cincinnati for the Black agenda there. So that's why I got it on. Congresswoman, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you, Roland. Nice talking.
Thank you. Let's go to our panel right now. A. Scott Bolden, former chair, National Bar Association PAC. Robert Patillo, executive director, Rainbow Push Coalition Peachtree Street Project. Dr. Julianne Malveaux, economist, president emerita, Bennett College. Dr. Malveaux, I want to talk to you because, look, it's a money thing. The census is about money. Okay, it's about determining alignment of districts in terms of boundaries, but also it's about the annual $1.5 trillion that is spent in this country. And when we are not counted, that's money that's not going to Black neighborhoods, not going to Latino neighborhoods. That's money that's not going to our schools and our roads. I mean, it impacts everything in this country.
It absolutely does. It also impacts the drawing of congressional lines. But on the money side, I wish that I could ask a congresswoman, I may send her a text, why can't they pass legislation that says you have to do X, you have to have this much subcontracting, et cetera? I mean, they put conditions in all kind of legislation. And it would seem to me that this would be a place really to put conditions in. Carol Williams has been a seasoned advertising professional for a very long time. She should have a piece of that. But, you know, these, white boys, you know, it's interesting. They want it all. They really don't want to share it. They want it all. They're building on us.
No, and that's precisely it. And Robert, that's where Operation Breadbasket came from, which, of course, morphed into Rainbow Push Coalition. And I keep saying this is how we are constantly remaining broke, having to beg for people, and then they throw out a couple of pennies or nickel, and then frozen out. And we're in. So not only are we screwed in terms of the Black ad agencies, and not only are we then screwed when it comes to the Black media companies. Well, if you're not getting the word out and you're undercutting us, Black people across the board get screwed when it comes to the census.
You're completely right. And part of it is we have to understand that, first day political science class, the first thing they teach you is politics is the question of who gets what when. And when you're determining who gets what when, it's all based on population. We're going to have redistricting and reapportionment all around this country. And what we saw in 2010, the last time we did this, was that black folks were systemically gerrymandered. They were redlined. They were packed together into congressional districts. They were broken apart to take away their voting majority. That's why you end up with a state like Georgia that has a 35% African-American population, but a constitutional majority for conservatives in the House and the Senate. All statewide offices are held by Republicans, have not elected a Democrat in over a decade. That is because of realignment, reapportionment, gerrymandering. And if we do not answer those census questions, if we do not put ourselves in the arena to determine how exactly we will get access to the resources, we will be frozen out again, not just on the small business side, not just on the economic side, but on the political side. When we're talking about passing many of the large generational items that people are in large agreement on, the way that you don't get those things passed, even though having 65% of the American people agreeing with them, is by playing with the rules, gerrymandering, and blocking people out of the process.
The thing, Scott, is, again, people don't understand connecting the dots. Let's just cut to the chase. In the last 20 or so years, 20 or 30 years, there's been one party that has been consistently wanting to undercount Americans, Republicans. And there's been one party that has been trying to count as many folks as possible, Democrats. This is where elections have consequences. And we're actually seeing this here. Republicans have not only on the federal level been trying to undermine the census, but in these various states. Texas, for example, said, we're not going to put any more money towards that. You're going, idiots. Don't you know that you're actually costing yourselves? But this was by design. Republicans have not been wanting to properly count folks because they frankly want to have as many white folks as possible to basically cut the influence of minorities.
Well, it's the party of racism. I've tried to avoid using that term, but it is the party of racism. And this is Donald Trump's gift to the future GOP party. That is, giving less resources, investing less resources in our communities of color. It is the Mitch McConnell he gives to the future of the GOP party by these judicial appointments of incompetent people who are not approved by the ABA. The Republicans cannot win unless they have a policy of voter suppression, unless they have a policy of lack of investment and disenfranchisement of black and brown people. They want to cry foul when we use the R word. They want to say that they want more people of color in their party, but their actions say just to say something very, very different. We can call it out on them, but the reality is we need to vote, and we need to stand in line and vote, and we need to vote in large numbers all across this country. Because not only can we beat voter suppression, but then we got to fight to make sure every vote is counted. So look for November to be the showdown.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends, go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have that you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.